Hi, I'm Teia Golden, and on this channel we talk about all things Mccall. I'm a real estate agent in Mccall, and today we're going to talk about the paperwork that you need when you sell a house. So some of the things people would wonder is the paperwork different for selling a home without an agent? Well, the two different forms that you would fill out to sell a home with an agent would be the agency disclosure, just letting you know that there's different types of agency in Idaho. And the second one is your seller's representation, and that would be your contract with the agent agreeing that they would represent you in the sale transaction of your home. So those are really the only two forms that you don't need if you're selling a home by yourself versus selling a home with a real estate agent. Okay, so now let's go over the paperwork that's smart to have when you're selling your house. So there's two pieces of paperwork that you would want to fill out when putting your home on the market. The first one is the seller's disclosures, and that's just kind of going through, just all the history of your home and letting all of the buyers know if there's anything wrong with your home, any upgrades that you've made or recent things that you've replaced or repaired, and why you fixed those. The second one is if your home was built before 1978, you would want to disclose to them whether or not you knew there's lead-based paint that was used in making your home. Most of the time, if somebody hasn't lived in the home since 1978, they're not going to know whether or not their home has lead-based paint. But that is still a disclosure that you would want to fill out and present to the buyers. The third paperwork that you would need in selling your home would be the purchase and sale agreement. And this is going to be once you start getting offers in on your house. You'll have a purchase and sale agreement, and it's important to know the different negotiating points that are going to be in that purchase and sale agreement. One of the most important things in the purchase and sale agreement would be how the buyers are going to pay for the home. Are they getting financing? And if so, who is their lender? Are they reputable? Are they local? Are they from out of state? And all of the answers to those questions can create different scenarios that happen through the transaction. So that's one of the important things, that could be negotiated in the contract. The next thing that's pretty important are the different expenses in closing and the different expenses through the transaction. One of the negotiating points is going to be who's going to pay for what expenses, the buyer or the seller. And there can be a variety of expenses that come up through the contract. So negotiating that out ahead of time, who's going to pay for what, is another negotiating tool in the contract. Another one would be, so if they're getting financing and not paying cash, then some of the times they're required to get an appraisal. There are times where appraisals can be waived by lenders. For example, if the buyer is putting down a substantial deposit, or if sometimes they can use past appraisals or past comps in order to waive appraisals. Sometimes the buyer can just agree that they aren't going to have the appraisal contingency in there, which can sometimes lead to a reduced contract price if that's not worked out ahead of time in the contract, basically. Whether or not the buyers are going to want to get a home inspection could be another negotiating portion of the contract. If they get a home inspection and find a lot of things wrong with the home, they could ask you to make repairs. So negotiating that out ahead of time, what you're willing to repair, what you're not willing to repair, whether or not they find something, is something that could be worked out in the contract or the purchase and sale agreement. So the last one I'm going to talk about today is the earnest money. How much earnest money are the buyers putting up until closing? Is that earnest money, can it be released to you as the seller? Or do they want to hold it there and have, several different ways to get that earnest money back after you've taken your home off the market? That's another negotiating point of the purchase and sale agreement. So we've gone over all the paperwork today that you would need in listing your home for sale. So once you've agreed on all these different terms and you've received your purchase and sale agreement, as you go through the contract, there will be I guess the buyer signs off on each different contingency that they had listed in the contract. And for each different contingency, there would just be a note made, or it could be on another form, for example, on the inspection request. If they have a list of things they would want, that goes on a different form that attaches to the contract. So that goes over the general paperwork that you need for selling a house.